Hello and welcome to another edition of Charango with Monique. Today we'll be looking at how to choose a charango. What are the factors you want to look for when you're looking for a new instrument for yourself? Right? We want to connect to this instrument that can help us connect to ourselves. So we'll look at 7 different factors of things to look out for, being 1, the wood, 2, the action, 3, the luthier, 4, waterfall, 5, strings, 6, strap, and 7, play. These are ideas that I have of things to suggest to you to look for, as many people have asked and reached out. So I'll preface this by saying the charango comes in many shapes and sizes, using many different types of strings. Today we'll be looking at a more standardized one with a nylon type string, 10 strings, and with a body that's about 36, 37, or 38 centimeters from the nut to the bridge. Let's dive in. Today, like I said, we'll look at 3 different charangos, the first being this charango right here. So we'll follow those 7 steps. So the first one, the wood. What wood is used and what does it look like, feel like? You want to grab the charango and really hold it in your hands. Is it solid? How are the tuning pegs? How do we're doing a visual overview, kind of like a scan of it. And if you see, cracks, dryness, any kind of broken parts or anything, that's a real good factor. We want our charango to last a lifetime. And so if you see something in the wood, be really aware of that. You might want to look also, is it 1 piece on the back or 2? That'll make a difference in the sound. It could be a different quality too. Look at the wood and see, are the lines, are the lines close by? I've been told that when the lines are closer together, it's a better quality wood. And you can see right here that these lines are very close together. So that's 1. 2, the action. Action being the height of the strings compared to the fretboard, especially when starting out. This will make a very big difference. So you want to look. And if you see that the strings are super high up, that might be a difficult charango for you to start with because you're pushing down to make a chord. We're pushing down with our fingers. So be aware of that. It is something you can ask to be adjusted. If you're buying it from a luthier, from a shop, you can ask the action to be adjusted, but be aware that that's something very important to look out for. We also want it to be uniform. So you want the string to be straight and the fretboard to be straight, right? On this one, it looks pretty good. Another thing to watch out for is that you have a 0 fret right here, the nut, and then the 0 fret. That will ensure a better quality of intonation. Now we mentioned luthier. What's a luthier? A luthier is an instrument maker. It comes from the word lute maker. And it's nice to see who made the instrument because like a piece of artwork someone signs, we want to see who is the person that turned these trees into a beautiful charango. So on mine, this one is mine, I can see Pedro Quispe Torrez. And it even says from La Paz, Bolivia. And that's really nice to enter in contact with that person. It's nice to source the woods. Where do these woods come from? In this case, for example, this is jacaranda here. This one is ebony. This is a pine. It's nice to be able to reach out to that luthier and know them, be in contact, and to thank them. So, great. What else do we have? Waterfall. Now, when you take the charango in your hands, I would recommend doing waterfall. My students know that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So you want to listen out. What we're making sure is that there's not fret buzz and that there are not dead notes. So if we hear something like, there might be an issue with the action, there might be an issue with the frets themselves. So that's something to really listen out for. So you can also go all the way up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When you get to 12, that's the octave. So if our first string is an open E, this will be a high E. Make sure it's ballpark the same note, right? It might not be perfect in the intonation, but it should be about the same note. Cool. Passing on to the strings. Note that there might be The strings make a big difference in the sound of an instrument, so just be aware that sometimes the strings that have been originally put on, you might end up changing. I use Aquila Corde sugar strings, which for me gives a lot of brightness, and I find that on a charango, when I put those on, it sings that much more. So just take a look at what strings are on it. Sometimes in shops, there's real old strings. Maybe that charango's been around a long time. So just keep that in mind. Then the strap, meaning, are you going to want to have a strap to play your charango? For example, in ceremony, when you're playing for 5 hours in a row, it's real nice to be able to also not be holding it up. Traditionally, I've seen a lot of charango players play like this. I find it more comfortable being here. Now, note that in order to hold it up, we'll need strap buttons. So in the case of this charango, it came with one strap button right here. And I had another trusted luthier put on another strap button right here. You can see them sometimes also on the neck, either here or here. So take a look. Does it have strap buttons? And if you're in the shop, if you're with the luthier, maybe ask them to put on strap buttons for you. Also note that the strap, often a guitar strap is too long, so you might want to find one specifically for charango or for similar instrument in terms of where it sits. So for me, this is quite comfortable. The last thing is to play. So let's hear. It's nice to choose a tune that you can try on the different charangos to have a reference. So for me, that's Sirenita Bobinsana. I'll just play the beginning part and let's hear how it sounds and feel how it feels. Nice. Let's move on from this Pedro Quispe Torrez charango, not forgetting about the case, to the last thing we want to look is how you're going to take it home. This is the case that I got with this charango, which I quite love. It has a place for a capo, for strings, and it has padding here, and I can wear it like a backpack, which I do, and when I take it on the airplane, I turn it upside down so it looks like a backpack and not a charango. Little tip for everyone. Okay, moving on to the next charango. This is the second charango that we're going to look at. So if we start with number one, the wood, what is the wood like? I can see that this wood, it doesn't have a lacquer on it. Okay, that's not a selling factor. It's something to just be aware of. The wood looks like a good quality. I do see that it's two different pieces. I'm looking on the front. We can listen to it. It looks like it's not ebony here, but that's fine. I mean, I really like the design. We can look at the design too. It's very pretty on the inside. Also, this is a flat back. You have curved back and flat back charangos. In Peru, this is considered the Ayacuchan style of charango. The tuning pegs look good. They look solid. If I move here, they're not shifting around on their own. Solid. Great, so that's the wood. Now the action, how is the action? To me, the action looks comfortable, looks low. If I push down on it, it feels good. It does have the 0 fret right here. Let's take a look at who the luthier is. So if I look inside, it's the Hermanos Chavarry out of Lima, Peru. And in fact, I got this charango in Lima, so very nice. Let's do Waterfall one time and listen. Make sure there's no dead notes. Pretty good. Pretty much the same note. Okay. The strings, I'm looking at the strings. Okay, they look like nice strings. I know that these are my Medina Artigas, so in my case, I might change them to Aquila, but for now, that's cool. Now the strap, this charango in particular does not have strap buttons on it. It is something that in the future I would like to put on. So when you're also talking about price, that could be something where you say, I'm going to need to put strap buttons. So that could be something where you negotiate the price a bit. But I think on this one, I might also put the strap buttons. I'm not sure. Something to look into. It's something I'd like to also learn how to do. And another nice thing, and in fact, when I was at the shop there, I said, can you throw in a case? And indeed they did. And look how beautiful this lovely case is. The nice part about it is that it's beautiful. It's a little less practical in terms of I don't have pockets and the charango goes in here and it's a little less protected, but it's very, very pretty. So that's that charango. Now, playing it, let's not forget that this is music we're talking about. So let's hear Sirenita, that same bit from before, on this charango. Quite a different sound than the other one, no? All right, now we'll look at the last charango, which I'm very grateful to Sal Perez, who has donated it for this video. And thank you, Sal, for helping out both in the making of this video and in talking about construction of charangos. A delightful musician based in LA. If you're looking for a charango guitar player, reach out to Sal Perez. So let's start with the first one, the wood. What's the wood look like? So beautiful. I can see that it's one solid piece. The lines are a little less close together, but I can see that it's one piece on the front. You can see that. So that's nice. It looks like an ebony fretboard. The tuning pegs, pretty solid. This one moves a little bit, but looks pretty good. That's the wood. It has an interesting feature that Sal put in, which is this hole right here that gives it that much more brightness. Let's take a look at the action. So it does have this 0 fret. The action looks pretty good. It looks a little bit high up here. So that's something I would take into consideration in terms of choosing. Here, this depends to how high up on the fretboard you're going to play, but that might be for me a consideration, this height of the action here. The Luthier, if I look in, it says Huaman, Sabino Huaman from Cusco, Peru. Okay, very nice to know. Thank you, Mr. Huaran, and thank you, Sal. Let's see here, Waterfall. So let's again do this 1 to 12 and check for any dead notes. Also, when choosing an instrument, don't feel pressure to need to quickly choose. I mean, take your time to listen, to connect. We want to spend our lives with this charango. It's a lifelong journey, and find an instrument that really you're resonating with. Because especially if we're using it in a ceremonial context, we're bringing that instrument into a sacred space, and you want to really connect with the woods as well as the sound. So the strap, this one indeed does have a strap. It has strap buttons right here, and they're metal, which is interesting. I personally prefer wood, but they're metal, one at the top up here. So if I put it on, let's say like this, interesting, yeah, kind of cool. It's different than how I wear my charango, but that's pretty cool. And now, lastly, 2 last things. We want to see what's the sound of it. Let's take a listen to Sirenita Bobinsana again on this charango. Beautiful. Lastly, let's see, how does Sal's charango have in terms of how to carry it home? And indeed, it has a hard case, which is pretty cool if you are touring, because this can resist in a van really well. It has a nice padded inside, so that's something you could also ask for if what I find about this type of hard case is it's less practical to carry around. So if you're traveling with your charango, traveling on an airplane, if you have a softer case, I just carry it right on board. This one, sometimes they can give you an issue also because of the length. Sometimes it's past airline requirements. However, if you are, for example, a touring musician, this is great because it will protect the body of your instrument really, really solidly. So that's all for today. Thank you so very much for being here. Feel free to ask any questions below in the comments. Feel free to reach out for charango lessons or charango chatting or charlando charango. And let me thank you all, and also subscribe to my channel right below so you can keep up with future videos that are to come, which will be all about, like I said, all things charango here at Charango with Monique. Thank you very much. Blessings to you all. Ciao.